Currently on a vacation with my wife's extended family. Our family, wife's parents, her sister's family, and her brother's family all sharing one beach house. An issue has come up around my nephew's, 10, wife's sister's only child, behavior, and his parents' expectations on the rest of us. The boy is hyper-competitive. He only wants to engage in activities that are games, contests, or sports. Well, I have no problem with this as many kids his age are similar, including to a slightly lesser degree my son, 12, the issue is that he is not allowed to lose. Or to more accurately rephrase, those playing with him are not allowed to win, per his parents. On to the issue. The house we are staying in has a game room. A TV with a Wii, a small pool table, and a foosball table. Upon arrival, the kids were attracted like flies to the foosball. The first match was my son versus the nephew. As the adults were still getting settled in, we heard an ungodly wail followed by a massive crash coming from the game room area. For my daughter, 9, and the other cousins, my son managed to score 3 consecutive goals on nephew. This put nephew into a rage, who began screaming, flipped over the table, then grabbed a Wii controller, hurled it at the TV hard enough to bust the screen. In the ensuing fallout, we discovered the no one else allowed to win rule. My wife's sister and her husband explained that one of the ways they show nephew how special he is by orchestrating all of his playtime and activities to make sure he always wins. In fact, husband said if he had known there was foosball going on, he would have been in there to oversee playtime and rules lawyer so that nephew wins. As wacky as this sounds, the parents are now pushing the narrative that the only way my son could score on nephew was by cheating. They want my wife and I to force our son to admit to cheating and apologize for it. My wife wants to keep the peace. She is telling my son to just do it and get it over with so we can have a nice week. I am completely against it. I give no craps about my son winning a stupid game of foosball, but to be forced to admit and apologize for something he didn't do just to massage the ego of a 10-year-old is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This happened 2 days ago and nephew won't drop it. He is referring to my son as the cheater, as is my brother-in-law. I'm about ready to pack up and leave, but my wife says that makes me an idiot. So verdict please. So your nephew loses, destroys everything, and they think your son is the problem and cheated. Wow, they are complete idiots. Their son should apologize, and so should the brother-in-law and your wife. They need to drop it if the week is going to be good, because you let them get away with this, what else will they try? Your family will be miserable all week making sure their time is special, and they win at everything. Their son is going to be disappointed in life when he realizes he's not going to win at everything in life and pissed his parents taught him he would. Not the idiot, don't make your kid lie to make this kid feel better. Your wife is being an idiot here too, I'm shocked she would want to have her son do that. Also, no one is doing that little monster any favors by creating this win-only world for him. They are actually grooming him to be a total idiot who can't cope with real life. Not the idiot for sure, and please do not have your kid apologize for something he didn't do, because that's not healthy either. If he didn't cheat he shouldn't say he did. And stop doing things with brother-in-law and his family. Not the idiot. This is pure insanity. You and your wife have no duty whatsoever to drag your own child into a permanent family game of let's all validate narcissistic delusions to keep the peace. In fact, you have a positive duty not to, as parents. I don't know if your wife was brought up with so much dysfunctionality that she just automatically caves to this crap reflexively when it comes to her family, but while I feel for her if that is the case, she is screwing the pooch on this one and letting her son down. My younger brother made some Wiener wrapping mistakes with a relatively unstable girl and had a kid when he was 17. For a while, it was going fairly well and he was stepping up to the plate until he had a particularly nasty breakup with a baby mama. As a result, the two of them constantly try to pawn off their daughter to each other and use her as ammunition. For example, the mother likes to stalk my brother on his days off and just drop the kid off to get back at him when he has dates planned. It's gotten so bad that she has had the cops remove her from my parents' property because she was standing in the front yard yelling angrily for my brother. As a result, both of them are super bitter and have started neglecting their daughter. It's nothing super over the top, but there's lots of swearing in front of her, leaving her unattended, leaving her in a playpen while he plays video games for several hours, not watching her enough that she's injured herself several times. She's currently around 16 months. Currently, my parents have taken over most of the parenting duties, while my brother really does nothing in the house to help, and the baby mama takes the kids seemingly to take Instagram pictures and to mess with my brother. So, one day after talking to my dad about it, I decided to just report all the incidences I've seen to Child Protective Services. They've recently stepped in, and my brother is losing it on everyone in the family. He thinks my dad did it and it's causing problems. So am I the idiot for reporting? And am I one for staying quiet and not telling anyone I was the one who did it? I spent a lot of time in foster care. It screws. It was definitely worse than my parents' petty crap. Yeah, they needed a divorce, and my dad was definitely better than my mom, but Child Protective Services put me in 2 or 3 homes. Then they put me back with my mom because it was Alaska and I'm native, so there's a cultural bias. Let's not forget that schooling is complete crap in villages where all the grades are mixed and no child left behind exists. I was in advanced classes before this. My dad fought tooth and nail to get me and my siblings back. The process took 4 years. In my experience, you are the idiot. Not the idiot. And no, don't take the heat. If you do, you might get cut out and not be able to intervene further if necessary. If your brother suspects your father, that's his own fault for being such a crappy parent. And you don't know for sure that your father hasn't called himself. These tips are anonymous for a reason, and anyone suggesting you should own up probably doesn't have the life experience or wisdom to figure out just why that'd be a bad plan. You're the idiot, but also info for not stepping up your game as uncle. It sounds like they're all under the same roof. No. Your brother's young and needs all the help he can get. Also, way to be sneaky and not own up to calling child services and letting your dad take the fall. Takes a village to raise a child, as they say. Shoulda focused on helping your teenager brother instead of involving the government. Doesn't really sound that bad, to be honest. Same crap that tons of kids get put through at the expense of selfish parents. My girlfriend and I went on vacation for 4 days. Her son, wife, and 3 kids watched our house. These are the worst kids I have ever encountered in my life. While we were gone, they let my cat out, broke a car window, and destroyed our favorite plant in our garden. I blame their parents mostly for being crappy parents, but these kids are just awful too. My cat has been missing for almost 4 days now. The last time this happened, he was 40 feet up a tree. I had to climb up and get him. I have searched within 100 yards of my house and can't find him. He has never been an outside cat, but we are in the woods in rural Vermont, so I have let him go outside supervised, occasionally making sure there were none of our other cats or the dog to spook him. My girlfriend first said it was our fault for letting him go outside. Then she said it was our fault for going on vacation. I feel like it's their fault for not closing the door when they go outside. The kids are 6 and 8 years old. They have been told over and over again to close the door they go outside, but they rarely do. They are not held accountable for when they don't do what they are told. While my girlfriend was making excuses for them last night, I blew up and said those idiots killed my cat. I am livid. 2 other people in her family are dope heads and constantly cause drama in our lives. I'm about ready to leave her because of all of this. I moved 8 hours away from where I'm from, and it will be hard to get my life back together. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. When someone agrees to house or a pet sit, they become responsible for basic upkeep of the house and pet. The friends I pet sit for would totally understandably be pissed if I let their pets run off. Or if I broke a car window. Or destroyed a plant. Or all 3. Out of curiosity, why did you have them house it in the first place? Did you not know that family yet, or did you already know they were irresponsible and figured they'd shape up for house sitting? Either way, you're not an idiot. Not the idiot. You're not the idiot. Get away from her fam as soon as possible. Dump her too. Her family seems toxic, and that's not going to get better. I've been with a good person before who was forever making excuses for his horrible family but kept getting screwed by into their drama. Eventually, I had to cut him loose to keep my sanity. I also think you're not an idiot for calling any of the family, the kids, whoever, idiots. Had it been my cat, I'd have called them much, much worse. Cats are resourceful and super smart. My cat has come back after a whole month of being gone. Leave some of its litter outside, it can smell it from a mile away. Wait until midnight when it's really quiet outside and walk near the trees whistling. If your cat is in a tree, you should be able to hear it meowing for help. Obviously you would have to wait until daytime to try to locate it, but at least you might be able to sense a general direction. Stay positive and don't lose hope. Good luck. I'm very sorry this happened. Not the idiot. I have been very close with V since our children, both 9, were small and in the same roll-around class. It's been a really wonderful friendship, with family vacations, play dates, sleepovers, etc. I feel very lucky to have the friendship, but her son has been more and more disturbing lately, and I don't think I can do it anymore. As a small child, her son had a very flat affect. He rarely cried. He didn't really smile much, didn't giggle, didn't like cuddles. The only emotion he would show was rage. A child in the playgroup once took a toy from him, so he smashed him over the head with a toy car. I wondered if maybe he was on the spectrum, but did not mention this to my friend and figured it wasn't my business. Now that they're older, the countless tantrums he throws are showstoppers. I put tantrums in quotations because he screams, cries and shouts when he has to turn his video games off or do a chore, but his face does not change. He makes crying noises, but does not shed tears. It's the same with happy things. He'll go through the motions, but seems to remain just flat. I've babysat him, my son, and daughter, 7, together countless times, and it's always been weird. It's like talking to someone with a mask on, and you never know what will set him off. And when you do arm him off, it's like nothing has happened to him, and then he's out of your sight and has ripped apart your potted plant. He slapped me across the face once and just didn't look angry while he did it, just blank. His face, when his mom made him apologize, was just blank. He never seems to feel sad. His parents throughout this have maintained he's just a little kid who may need to channel his emotions in different ways. His mom even will make jokes about it. The final straw recently has been at a hangout my house to have him and his parents come to have dinner and swim. I was making some appetizers when this happened, but my husband and son both told me the same version. The boys and my daughter were in the pool and F held her underwater. He did it and let her up after 5 seconds, so they laughed, and then he did it again and would not stop. My son is smaller than him and couldn't get him off and had to scream for his father to make him stop. His parents could not have been more apologetic and were crying, but the night obviously ended. My husband doesn't want him over anymore, doesn't want him near the kids, and I think he's right. I think this boy is dangerous. I think he'll hurt someone someday, and maybe really badly. Would I be the idiot if I end a long friendship over this kid? Not the idiot, that is a shockingly scary story. The fact that he showed no emotion for anything until he was almost drowning your daughter is absolutely terrifying. I don't want to be the type of person who tries to give diagnoses of the internet not know the situation, but I would at least tell your friend that until their son is getting some kind of services, he is not allowed over anymore and that you are very sorry to have to say that. Not the idiot, that kid sounds creepy as hell. Talk to your friend again, make her understand that this isn't normal behavior. Those are signs of a sociopath. And if they have any pets, they're potentially in danger. That's where they usually start their torture. If she refuses to listen, it's not worth saving the friendship. He could have drowned your daughter. I would have been livid if someone held my daughter underwater, even as a joke. If they're really that sorry, they'll take him to a specialist about this scary behavior. Not the idiot. What's more important, OP, your kids' lives or this friendship? Not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but the lack of empathy or emotional display from this child sounds like book sociopathic behavior. Talk to your friend, maybe this is enough to give her a push to get her son seen by a mental health professional. If she isn't willing to, by all means, cut them out to protect your kids. Seriously, this scares the crap out of me as a new dad. I have a son who just turned 5. His father and I dated on and off for a few years. We broke things off for good, and 3 weeks later I found out that I was 8 weeks pregnant. We decided we'd work together to raise the baby but not be together. It was a toxic relationship for both of us. When I was about 8 months pregnant, he had a change of heart. He asked that I put the baby up for adoption. I didn't want that. We fought about it. He told me that he didn't want any part of this baby's life. He also told me that if I ever filed for child support, he'd take the child out of the country. He is not a citizen of the United States, just a permanent resident. This scared me, and I wouldn't put it past him. I am financially secure enough to raise my son on my own and didn't want to deal with the drama of court. After that, I didn't speak to him again until the day I went in labor. I texted him and told him that it was time if he had another change of heart. He asked me to not contact him again. That was the last contact that I had with him and was 5 years ago. My son and I are doing wonderfully. He is healthy, happy, and surrounded by people who love him. My life revolves around my boy. Then yesterday happened. He messaged me on Facebook and wants to get to know my son. He has since gotten married and his wife is expecting in October. He wants his soon-to-be daughter to know her brother. I haven't replied yet, but I don't want my son to have anything to do with him. He abandoned us and never said a word after that. He never once contacted me to check up on my son or ask to see a picture of him. Why would I want my son to be around a man who would just turn his back on a child the way he did with no remorse? I plan on contacting an attorney today to see what my options are, but in the meantime, am I the idiot for wanting to tell him to leave us alone and never contact me again? Not the idiot, I would contact an attorney. The father has abandoned and threatened your child. You have every right to a restraining order and sole parental rights if you don't already have them. I would have a conversation with your son though. Just let him know that the man who helped bring him to you may come around, and if he ever sees someone around the house that he doesn't know, he should come to you immediately. Just make him aware so the father can't just swoop in and take the kid with no resistance. No, not the idiot for feeling this way and wanting him to leave you alone. He said he would kidnap his son to another country if you asked him to pay his fair share of raising him. Then, he abandoned both of you. He made his choice, and you have to protect your son. He doesn't get to just come in and out of your life whenever he feels like it. That is really crappy of him, and I wouldn't be confident that he wouldn't disappear again after your son knows him, essentially abandoning him twice. Not the idiot. However, I will say if possible keep in light touch with the father. For 2 reasons. 1. Safety. With his threats, it would benefit you to know as much about where he is living and crap to be prepared. And 2, because one day your son may want to meet his half-sister and that'd be fair. Whatever you do though, make sure your son is never alone with the father. If you decide to allow the father to see him, make sure either yourself, a child worker, or one of your parents or something are present.